It's a business play. It's not a passion play for me. You look around the country and a lot of these suburban malls aren't doing well. And the ones that are converting to experience-based retail. We're hoping that this could turn into something bigger. We can replicate this at a significantly smaller cost than it would be to build a brick and mortar building. And we could replicate this at, a dozen malls next year and 25 the following year. If we make our money back and I have fun, I'm still happy either way. But, I'm 43 years old. If I'm not taking risks now with the capital that I save from my primary job, right? If I'm not taking these risks now, then when am I going to? A lot of people are very nice when the camera's off and you have a good rapport with them off camera behind the screen. And a lot of it, there is a little bit of theater to it and it's a lot of fun.
Welcome to The Big Skinny with Lou Basenese, where we keep things easy to digest in 111. When one headline you should probably ignore because the consensus usually gets it wrong. One chart you should pay attention to, absolutely, because data seldom lies. And one insight that you should use to increase your bottom line or your net worth, however you measure it. And today, I'm excited to have an exclusive interview with Joe Borelli, Managing Director at Chartwell Strategy Group, the man, the myth, the legend that just is a true slayer on CNN with some, I don't even know what you call them, man. I don't know how you do it, but welcome to The Big Skinny.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is a great podcast. I'm so excited for the launch and everything and rocking and rolling and good stuff.
Yeah, listen, there's headlines out saying that some new regulations in New York are going to make it easier to open new businesses. And here we are, you leaving your political career, elected office, going into a strategy role in politics, but also being an entrepreneur. Do you really think this is the case in New York? I think this could be a contrarian message in what we're hearing a lot out of New York.
Look, and this has always been sort of the problem. It's, New York is obviously the biggest city in the country, and we have the biggest government in the country, and we have the most bureaucrats in the country, and every one of those bureaucrats wants to weigh in and put their stamp on every piece of policy. The net result of that is that, we're good at sometimes attracting major industries and major corporations. We're very bad at opening up pizzerias. We're very bad at opening up, coffee shops. It's very difficult for a small person with a modest amount of capital to take a loan out to put the initial investment up, to take a risk. And unfortunately, I think a lot of entrepreneurs probably correctly leave the market and open up in more business-friendly states like Florida, the Carolinas, New Jersey even. I mean, just right over the bridge, it's easier to do certain businesses.
Yeah. So it's funny. You bring up an interesting stat. It's really hard for small businesses, yet small businesses drive 98 to 99% of actual commercial activity. And we define that under 100 employees in New York. So it makes no sense to make it harder for them. Do you think the current administration, without calling them derogatory names, can actually figure this out and make it easier to open small businesses as you launch a new business yourself?
No, just the opposite. And I know we're at my bar right now, so we're opening later. It's a giant shipping container we turned into a bar.
Love it.
But the reality is my primary business is lobbying and consulting. And my business is run through an LLC, and New York has some of the most restrictive and highest LLC taxes in the country. So now I'm at the stage now where I could be hiring another employee, and it's almost impossible to do that with as of today, it's a 4% LLC tax. That's in addition to the income taxes, the city income tax, the state income tax. It's an extra 4%. So as I'm choosing where I'm going to hire my employee, where I'm going to establish the sort of the long-term business, it just makes no sense for me to be in New York City. I mean, that's the problem for a lot of new style businesses where people are just attached to their laptop, they're attached to their computer. You have companies, a great example, my firm in DC rents from Tishman Speyer, a big real estate company.
Yeah.
They have a great program for their tenants where they have these lounge and workspaces in all of their buildings all around New York, London, Chicago, wherever you are. And that's sort of a new model, right? It's the WeWork model. I don't need the physical office space. I need a place when I'm here in New York, but I don't need to be here. I don't need to be paying the taxes. So, it's really a driver of business out. And that was his big way of saving the boat. We talk about the other stuff he's doing, but this LLC increase in taxes is going to drive out so many small entrepreneurs. It's a shame.
Well, and it's the trend has already been there, right? If we pull up this chart that we've recreated, it shows the exodus of jobs and then also net business formation. We're down. I mean, the data is a little dated. It's a couple quarters behind. But before all this passes through, we're already down 4,900 net jobs year over year through the second quarter of last year. We're missing 60,000 jobs in New York City. So do you think it gets worse from here? I mean, you're starting a new business. Do you think about how can we do this as lean as possible and hire as few employees as possible?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I mean, that's a great example, right? New York, you have to pay a ridiculously high minimum wage. So all the wait staff that we have is making minimum wage plus tips. Thankfully, Staten Islanders, hey, we're very generous with tips. So I'm very happy these young people are going to make good tips, but the wage is pretty high.
Are you waiting? My question is, are you waiting tables? Is this, I mean, an all-in endeavor for you?
I might be pulling a tap every once in a while. Why not? That was my job in college. I missed it. It was so much fun. But look,
I was a beer man at Miller Park when it opened in Milwaukee when I was 21. So I respect it, my friend. I respect it. Go ahead. You were going to say something else.
Yeah, the data tells, almost an incomplete story. And to his credit, our Democratic city controller, which is in New York, the highest financial officer in the city, he actually pointed out that, the only net job gainer was really home health aides. And now we're seeing this entire fraud thing around the country, a lot of these Medicaid scams. And it's hard to not think and have some idea that a lot of these jobs are just sort of temporary, fugazi. Some of them aren't fugazi, but it's not a real number, even the jobs gains that we're making. The real number, and I always point this out, is look at the New York City public schools. We used to have 1 million kids. Now we have 850,000, right? That's not because the kids moved. The kids who have parents with the means and ability to move and they're not tied to a job here have moved. That's if you think about it, right? An average of say 2 kids a family. That's that's 75,000 middle income families who decided to leave New York because of whatever affordability, jobs, etc.
I love that as an investment guy. That's the real signal in the data, because I want to bring up a stat that I feel like is just noise that people keep citing about the business thing. And they're talking about commercial real estate occupancy rates have actually dropped for, 2.5%. So there's like, look, businesses aren't leaving. I'd argue that's just the COVID rebound, right? Like we went from work from home to return to work. So it's not a fact that businesses aren't leaving. It's just some normalization after COVID. What do you think?
There's some smart play there, right? I mean, I wouldn't bet against Midtown real estate, right? So there is some smart play there to lock yourself into a 10-year lease with a 10-year option at a competitive rate. And I know some businesses that are doing that. But all businesses are definitely getting slimmer as the work week gets slimmer. So that's underlying pressure on the commercial real estate market. And frankly, we're also encouraging some of the pressure on the market by allowing some of these commercial, skyscraper owners to convert to residential. We do have a housing shortage in New York, despite the fact that people are leaving. And if we can convert some of these buildings into housing, that would be a net positive. Now, some of the buildings built in the 1960s and 70s, they're these big glass and steel squares. It's almost impossible to convert that to housing. So it actually gives new life into some of the older 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, really beautiful buildings that we have. They could be great things. Yeah,
no, that's interesting. That's like talking about job. I haven't thought about that. The commercial to residential conversion is pulling off and boosting the occupancy rate, kind of like the labor participation rate, right? People come out of the workforce, unemployment looks like it's better than it is.
Yep.
If you haven't noticed, we're all about all filling, zero fluff, and so is our email newsletter, where we deliver insights, one headline that you should probably ignore, one chart you should absolutely pay attention to, and one investment idea that you should follow to increase your bottom line right alongside ours. So if you're not signed up yet, go to thebigskinny.com, sign up for our newsletter. If you can't be bothered to give up your email address, that's okay. Give us a follow on Twitter or on YouTube so you never miss another episode. I want to transition to, I'm an investment guy, right? You're a politics guy, but you're making an investment in yourself, starting a small business in your home, town. Talk to me about that decision, because I tell people like the best decision you can make and best investment you can make is in yourself. So what brought you to this? What's the name of your beer garden? What's behind the pink theme? Tell me all about it, man. And what's on tap? What's your specialties?
Look, it's called The Garden. It's an outdoor beer garden, right? And it's a business play. It's not a passion play for me. It's a business play. So the parent company here at the Staten Island Mall is General Growth Properties, a part of Brookfield Properties. And we've seen the information, right? You look around the country, and a lot of these suburban malls aren't doing well. And the ones that are converting to experience-based retail. So we have a Dave & Buster's behind us, an AMC movie theater, a bunch of restaurants. I'm sitting across from a Shake Shack. So this mall is really doing well on the conversion from the, traditional, JCPenney's to Dave & Buster's. And we're occupying a main plaza at the entrance of that mall and just giving people an alternative 6-month a year beer garden. We're hoping that this could turn into something bigger. We can replicate this, at a significantly smaller cost than it would be to build a brick and mortar building. And we could replicate this at, a dozen malls next year and 25 the following year. So it's one of those, it's really a long time. I grew up bartending in college. That's how I, worked myself through college. So I enjoy it. So it is somewhat a passion play. I can't wait to watch the World Cup here. So yeah, there is some fun that's going to be had. But ultimately, it's how do we invest in a new type of company? How do we shift the retail market and adjust to the trends that are happening in malls?
So I love it because the headlines would make it seem like this is just a side hustle for you, like fun passion project. But you're talking about scaling 25 plus new locations. I think there's absolutely the market that would accept it and adopt it.
Hey, if we make our money back and I have fun, I'm still happy either way. But, I'm 43 years old. If I'm not taking risks now with the capital that I save from my primary job, right? If I'm not taking these risks now, then when am I going to? At what point in my life am I going to do that? So,
amen. At 43 years young, though, I got to bust your chops a little bit here. Why do you still have an AOL address for your email?
I mean, it's kind of a secret. Look, and that's not even the worst one. If you looked at my AIM name, and you're about the same age, not too far off. But if you look at my instant messenger name from college, I would be so embarrassed right now if you put that on the screen. It would I would abuse myself. I'm not telling you. It's that bad. I'm not even telling you.
I love it. We'll have to save that for some beers at your beer garden. Tell me where it's located exactly so our viewers know. We're talking about coming out there, bringing a crew of guys. We'd love to celebrate you, your entrepreneurialism, and just your love for the right things, my friend. That's what I respect about you most.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're at the Staten Island Mall, which is 2655 Richmond Avenue on Staten Island. It's a decent place. So if you want to come by, we got games for the kids, cornhole, beer pong, all that sort of fun stuff. Anything you'd find in like an urban beer garden around the country, we have basically the first one on Staten Island.
Love it. One last question before I let you go, because I watch you spar on CNN. I think my favorite memory is when the host was like, you were saying like, look, egg prices have come down. And they're like, no, it hasn't. And you're like, I'm literally looking at the chart. Like, here it is.
I was on Instacart.
Yeah.
I could have delivered it to the studio for like, $3 less than she was saying,
And they're like, no, it's still high. And you're like, I'm telling you, it's not. Like, how do you prepare to do battle in that just gladiator arena with those people that are so diametrically opposed to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. Look, you do a lot of TV, so a lot of people are very nice when the camera's off and you have a good rapport with them off camera, behind the screen.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, there is a little bit of theater to it, and it's a lot of fun. We make a good television show that engages on real news of the day policy topics, and I enjoy that. I think that's fun. And people always say, how can you be friends with some of these people? Because they're just there with a different opinion. I don't dislike, I do dislike one or two, but for the most part, I won't tell who, but I don't dislike anybody who we get to spar with on TV. And then it's fun. If I didn't have fun, they don't pay me. If I didn't have fun, I wouldn't be going. So.
Well, amen to that. We grew up in an age of civil discourse where my buddies that I, busted knuckles with all the time in Jersey, we can completely disagree, but still be friends. So I respect you for your craft, man. I respect you for being an entrepreneur in a really tough environment. Would love to have you back on for your next success story when you have time, my friend. Let's hope. And we got to play golf. Don't forget. Now it's on screen. That's right. I gotta prove that I'm a worse golfer. I'm committing on air to prove to the world that Joe Borelli is a better golfer than Lou Basenese. I love it. We're gonna get a lot of vowels and not a lot of birdies out on the course, but it'll sure be one hell of a time, my friend. All right. Amen. Best of luck tonight in the opening night, and we'll talk with you soon, my friend. Thank you so much. Take care.